we're talking about Sheila Wegesha. Now, the whole nation is just reeling in shock after the death of Sheila Wegesha. More specifically, the Ohangla community. She was an entrepreneur in the entertainment scene. She was an Ohangla dancer. She was quite popular in those circles. Now, the story is apparently, allegedly, there was a domestic dispute. And she was found dead, murdered actually. More specifically, she was found murdered in her own home in Athi River. And unfortunately, it is her daughter who actually discovered her lifeless body. And on further investigation, her husband seems to have fled the scene, or rather cannot be accessed. And even the DCI is even calling and saying, hey, please come, just come and let's have a chat. Let's find the root of the problem. Let's find out what exactly happened. But the story is she died, she was murdered, and we've been having these conversations about femicide, and the question is, our campaigns working? Is everything, the protesting in the streets, the asking of stop killing women, are our initiatives actually working, or have we just been making noise and there's no visible change happening? Anyway, we are still reeling in shock from this story, and Akothee decides to give her opinion on this matter in one of her live sessions. Apparently, one of the disputes that Sheila and her husband had were around infidelity. One of the partner was seeing more than one person. It's just, no one quite says it was infidelity on the part of who. It's just that the conflict that they were having was centered around infidelity. And then she turns up dead in her house and her husband is missing. So now people drew conclusions from these rumors. And Akothee decided to say, why do you keep 77 men if they are not satisfying you? Why do you give them all your attention? Why are you so scattered? And then went on to say, if you're not happy in your marital situation, just sit down with your partner and say, hey, this is not working. Hey, I want to see other people. Hey, maybe we should divorce. Like, our marriage is just not working. Instead of, fighting all the time and confronting each other, and then it ends in femicide. However, here's where I had a problem with this situation. We're talking about the death of a woman who was allegedly, her life was cut short at the hands of her husband, allegedly. So instead of you using your platform to address this and say, stop killing women, your route was, stop cheating on men because this is how they react. That's where I had a problem with. We're talking about femicide, and instead of you using your platform and saying, stop femicide, because is there a conflict that cannot be resolved? If I've hurt you, we've hurt each other, we are adults. We can sit down, we can talk about it. We can be angry at each other, we can be silent, we can separate from each other and gather our thoughts. It doesn't always have to end in murder, in femicide. So that was the thing that, just irked me about her whole tirade, because she did go on a rant, and it just felt like she was blaming one gender for the reaction of another. So you want to say, if I wrong you, your solution is to kill me instead of resolving this conflict. That just makes absolutely no sense to me. So yeah, Akothee, Apo, I do not agree with you at all.
Yeah, I feel like the rant is just very problematic, because she said that never build a relationship inside your relationship. You can forget that relationship. You are living with your enemy. They will come with expectations, and when they're not met, they'll become angry. They are doing ambiguous things, having all these politicians around paying rent. One is paying tickets. The husband doesn't even know where she is, and she's saying she's independent. Who told you cheating is being independent? And I'm just like, okay, babe, what? Also continues to hammer on the women, saying there are also women who think that they're the ones who attain, that attain financial independence, they don't need men. Once they attain independence, they don't need men. My friend, you cannot live without a man. These are things you say when you're still in your 30s. I have reached a point where I need a companion, someone who will compliment me. You don't need a man na unapatikana na bwana za watu. It's high time women drop this ish because it is not true. And that's how she ended with that conversation. I personally believe that this is coming from a really weird place. Like the
It
people,
felt like victim shaming.
people come to Akothee as single women, single mothers, to get advice from her and to get empowerment from her. And she has never veered off of that tangent until now. And it's starting to feel like, oh, now you have a man, you know, you're starting to make all of us look like we're some other forms of humans. You know, it's like you've been talking about how men are horrible, how men have done this and this and this and this and this and this to you. But then you finally get in a relationship where you're happy and you're comfortable, and then you start to throw stones at everyone else. That's what it's unfortunately giving. It's giving the energy of, yeah, me, I'm in it now. So yeah, you people, you need to also act right in order for you to bag a man. Unfortunately, that's the energy it is giving. Because how is someone dead and you immediately go, yeah, she angered her husband? How is someone passed on, like they're no longer living, and you're like, yeah, it's because she angered her husband? Like, why would you have politicians come into your house? Why would your husband never know where you are? Why are you claiming that you're independent and you're just sleeping with other people's husbands? What does one thing what does one thing do with the other? Like, what is the relationship between you dying and you being a cheater? If you find out someone is cheating on you, leave. Yeah, you don't have to end someone's life simply because you feel justified that they did something wrong to me and therefore I should exercise my worst anger on them and impact their lives in this way. And then you leave that you leave that wife to be found by a child in their home. Everything about the story is problematic, and Akothee, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to tell you, you're on the wrong side. You're on the wrong side of history. Right now, it's really time for you to reel that story back in, apologize. Yes, you may know these people personally, and therefore you feel like you have, you are privy to something that the rest of us are not. But regardless, none of it is justified. None of it is justified. She may have done all the things wrong, but none of it is justified. The death of a human being cannot be justified by some actions that they did. I feel like you need to apologize and please collectively tell the nation what you know, if that's what is bugging you. Just get that off your chest. Isolate these two incidences and speak from a point of, yes, I'm privy to this information, and yes, this death is not justified. Two isolated incidents. It's so sad. It's so sad that that you as a woman would be on this side. Well, it could happen to. Anyway, let's move on from this misogyny and the patriarchy reaching down into people's throats and making them kind of crazy, and get